Hey everybody, this is Daniel, your living poet. I'm going to be reading you another poem today about the town I grew up in. In fact, the street I grew up on. And I've been reading a number of these. I wrote a lot, and now I'm going to be reading them. I'd like to be able to just stare at the camera and say that I've got it memorized, but it's 2 pages long, and I guarantee you I don't have it memorized. So the name of this poem is Elm Avenue, and I hope you enjoy it. There are no elm trees on Elm Avenue anymore. There used to be back when Dale and Mary Alice and all the rest of us were growing up in the so-called good old days in Okauchee, WI. We were worried about the Ruskies, building shelters underground, stocking them with Spam and water and some kind of hard bread, lots of Anacin and Band-Aids. We should have been worried about the Dutch, those tulip-growing, windmill-loving ice skaters. We'd blame them later for what happened to our trees. We were worried about polio, too. We all knew about iron lungs and braces, and we all had a classmate or relative on crutches. We weren't worried then when the doctor made his house call, cigarette in his mouth. We should have been, worried that is, and we should have wondered why no lady doctors came around. Our parents bought a new car every year. They worried about losing face, about keeping up with the neighbors. The neighbors, of course, were all white. We weren't worried about what was happening with Negroes. We didn't know anything about them. We didn't know anything about brown and red and yellow races as well. That didn't worry us either. We all knew gay men and women. None of us knew that we knew them. Nothing to worry about there. We were occupied with the things that really mattered, like acne, masturbation, girdles, bras. We weren't worried about STDs, but owning a condom was still a big deal for boys with no clue. We were all poor, at least compared against the rich folks across the lake. The beer people, the Paps and the Millers, the Johnson Cookies people, the ones that always were last to pay their grocery bills. In it together, being poor didn't worry us. And we took pleasure in the simple things like swimming and tag and the free movies in the park on Saturday night. Our heroes were athletes and actors, local folks like Johnny Logan and Tony Curtis. We didn't worry about scandal then. Our heroes too true to make the tarnished footprints of the future. We might have worried about that, propping them up only to knock them down, but we didn't. There are no elm trees in Elm Avenue anymore, but there are pine trees and firs and maples, even birches, the ones that we planted before we knew that the elms would go. We were not worried about the future when we did that. We just put them in the ground, bought hammocks, and waited. Nothing to worry about, nothing at all.